Georges, thank you for joining me this evening, right?
Yes, this is evening now in France. Yes, it's
Oh,
7
excellent.
p.m.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for
Thank you to invite me, Kevin.
absolutely. So you have a really interesting career progression. Um, and we'll get into all of the different technology platforms that you've been a part of here shortly, and then we'll get into all the awesome stuff that you're doing over there at with Vade. But why don't you? What we like to do often is to kind of take it way back to young Georges. I guess. Uh,
You
what?
can say George. In
Okay.
France, we say just George. We don't pronounce the S.
Okay. Well, thank you, because I was on all of these translation sites, making sure I was trying to pronounce it properly. So good. Thank you. Um, so yeah, let's kind of take it back, and I guess tell me about young George and I guess the interest in technology and how you kind of developed along the way. So where are you from?
I am from Lille, which is a city in northern Paris in France. We are just between London, Brussels, and Paris, just in the middle.
Excellent, excellent. And so I guess early childhood, early days, was there a was there a moment or a time that you found kind of this spark for technology, or was there an early interest in technology, or how did you end up becoming the pervasive technologist that you are?
I am an engineer, basically, and so an engineer in electronic and telecom. But before that, when I was a kid, I had absolutely no idea of what I would like to become, or at the contrary, I were curious of everything. So I wanted to be everything. I was passionate by nature, animals, building things by myself, science, adventure. And so I was thinking to be an astronaut, veterinary in the bush of Africa, in a boat builder, architect, a
Wow.
musician, rock player, surgeon, researcher in quantum mechanics. And finally, I'm an engineer, and I'm in the cybersecurity space. But this is not exactly a choice. This is the way I progressed. That's it.
That's fascinating, because it probably, like a lot of people, right? I mean, you had various interests, very diverse background, very diverse interests. Um, I guess you were an engineer by education or training in college, or
Yes. I'm an engineer at university. Yes.
yeah. And then I guess building on that, what was your first job out of college? Was it in the engineering space? Were you really hands on at that point?
Yes, my first job when I was a young engineer, I had the great chance to become from the beginning. I was really junior to start as a project manager of security in nuclear plants. A very
Wow.
big project, and nine nuclear plants in France are today already secured by a part of the technology I was in charge of with a team, engineer team. So I had that chance. And so I started in the security. It was not cyber security, but the security. And then I created just after that project, which was something like 2 years long, something like this. I started my first company in networking products, in particular to transport video streaming. I was in the security, And so my first company was building products to transport video signals for security, and very quickly infrastructure and cybersecurity in general. And I am a multi-entrepreneur. I did something like, I don't know exactly, 7 to 8 different companies. One of them I have sold. One of them, it was a firewall company, competitor of Fortinet, which name is Storm Shield in France, well known in Europe, that I have sold to Airbus Defense before starting Vade. It was just in the middle of my experience.
So was there entrepreneurship in kind of the family background, or what was the impetus? What was the, you had this engineering job, you studied, and it sounds like great, fascinating role, and then you decided to go out and start your own company.
It's also not classical, I don't know, but my father has his own company, but he was alone with only one assistant. It was sales. He was buying and selling products in the textile. And my wife, the father of my wife, my father-in-law, is an entrepreneur, but not at all in that field. Also in the textile. And so I was in my family the first engineer in that space, in technology, IT technology. And my brother is also an engineer, so he followed the same path finally. But everybody told me that I was not done to be a CEO of a company, to start my own CEO, because I was like a dreamer, passionate of everything, but not structure myself. And so, yes, it was an experience. It was not easy at the beginning. And very quickly, I understood that the best is to build a team with a complementary skills. Finally, I was more imagining the future, the strategy, the products, innovating like a searcher and so on. But to work with people who are very structured themselves for sales, marketing, and so on, finance, and so on. It was a good solution.
It's so I often, with a lot of these interviews that I've been doing, you notice patterns or different themes across the entrepreneurial, the business owners, the CEOs, and a lot of it is because they are interested in so many different areas, right? And often they have some sort of entrepreneurship in the family. Some don't, some just kind of, they got the bug or they say, hey, here's a problem, I'm going to go try to solve it. And then they fall into it. So it's really interesting, some of these themes that keep recurring throughout these interviews. But when you started that company, I mean, was part of it, was there like a personal motivation to say, I'll show you, since some said, you are unstructured, or was it really just, you are trying to solve a problem?
Yes, more or less. You mean when I started my first company?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, my motivation was yes, I was in success, having been in a company for 3 years, 2-3 years, as a project manager. I couldn't imagine that I could be good as a project manager, a so important project manager. It was a huge project in terms of amount of money, in terms of responsibility. Yeah. I was there just like a junior, and I couldn't imagine that I was able to do that. So this gave me confidence a lot of confidence. I was thinking of me, okay, I'm able to do something great. It was a great success. And my personality is to do what I want, when I want, with the people I want to work with. And so I had in that company, I was an employee in that company, I had many ideas. Well, we should do that or this. We should change this. The organization, the new products, something. And so it was difficult in the company to be listened. And I was very young, in fact. And so yes, it was the idea. Okay, I have an idea. I want to start this. Who wants to come with me? Two engineers started with me, and we started like this, with no idea of what is the business, no idea of marketing, no idea of nothing. But it was funny and not easy. But every step we made was not an immediate success, but no dramatical mistake.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, again, I try to pick up on themes or parallels, and I can certainly relate to that because early days for me, I was working at a bank, financial institution, and this is in the early '90s or so, and it was responsible for a large territory, a regional bank. It had dozens of branches, or maybe at least a dozen branches or something like that, and every Friday I would do my sales meeting at that time, and my branches would, I think we just had email at the time. They would email me their forecast. Some would fax their forecast to me. Some may have figured out how to put some of that in an Excel spreadsheet. And I had stumbled across Salesforce at that time. And I was like, this is incredible. What do you mean? I can see my entire pipeline. I can see all of my branches. And so I tried to do a little pilot, and I took it to some of our regional folks, and then took it up to, I think they're based out of Atlanta. And they're like, this is ridiculous. We never spend money on, a CRM. And that was, I think, the moment when I was like, I got to get out of here. It was a great, great experience. Great, great job, great pay, great responsibility. I was fortunate at the time that I was dating my wife. We weren't married. We didn't have kids. I think we had a dog. So the risk for stepping off the ledge wasn't too great, but nevertheless, yeah, I took a step off the ledge, and I haven't looked back. So, but I can relate. I can certainly relate.
For myself, I was like crazy when I imagine how I was in the past, because I started my first company. I was 26 years old, and I was married with children.
Oh.
I had at this time 2 children. And so I took risk, but I didn't realize, in fact, the fact that it was so risky. I was so confident in me. Finally, I said, okay, I will not engage personally too highly in terms of money. So the risk of money, and if I don't, if I fail, I will recover a job. Like this at this time, and now it's still the same in the IT world. There is no possibility to don't find a job if you are good enough.
Yeah, no, and I imagine, yeah, you had you had a ton of responsibility, and so I think, yeah, it's a calculated risk. It's a risk, but it sounds like it was a pretty calculated risk. So, so what happened to that first company?
Oh, that first company, I divided that in 2 companies. One is now a distributor, value-added distributor, so selling to MSPs in particular. And I transformed that before selling the company into a distributor, value-added distributor. And the second has been sold earlier, and was manufacturer of network equipments, and this has been sold to a daughter company of Canal Plus. I don't know if you know Canal Plus in France, TV. And so this was the first my first company, and it was good. I made some money with that, enough to pay myself and to restart something else. So it was good.
A good
But
outcome.
I sold the company too early. I was confident in myself until a certain step. I was not confident. I was surprised by the success of my company, and so I thought, okay, it's time to sell it, because I'm not sure it will remain the same a long time. I don't know. I understood to start a company, but to scale up, it's probably different. So I sold the company a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a little regret there, but it's you can't look back. I guess you can only look forward. So after that, right, you've got NetAsk, Storm Shield, Seclair, or is it Scalar? Scalar.
Scalar.
Yeah. So looks like with the NetAsk, that was a pretty long run, right? That was what, 9 years, 10 years, something like that. And then same thing with Scalar, right? I mean, sounds like you really grew those businesses extremely well. And it sounds like from early on you were also involved in the channel, MSPs, distribution. So it sounds like that's been kind of a theme throughout a lot of what you've done over the years.
Yes, I well know the MSP channel, because as I said, my first company separated in two, but was value-added distributor selling to MSPs, and Scalar, which is in the same building than Vade, and I'm still the main shareholder at Scalar. I don't manage it at all day to day, but I'm the main shareholder. Is a cloud managed service company, so very close to the MSP, and Scalar is becoming a MSSP now. And so, yes, I well know the distribution channel. And at Vade, we work for MSP. Our persona is the MSP. Finally, the final customer is the small and medium businesses or mid-market, but our persona is the MSP.
But that's great that you still have access, or still involved with with running that organization, because it sounds like you have, I don't know if you use that as an incubator maybe for some of the Vade ideas, or what you guys end up developing, but it sounds like you still have 1 foot in, understanding the challenges, the complexities of what the channel goes through today, and the kind of the insight from the vendor perspective as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
I well know the side of the vendor, the side of the value-added distributor, the side of the MSP. And as a multi-entrepreneur, I have also funded recently, last year, venture capital for seed. And so the goal is to help a young company to find to grow and to scale internationally, because with some of my friends, we have created that with 4 multi-entrepreneurs too. And so the goal is to share our experience and to help others to grow as soon as we can, because we have an experience, but the experience is light that you wear, but you wear behind you, and so you don't see the path.
Yeah,
you always have to reinvent to reinvent yourself. And so the experience is to help them to think deeply and find the solution by themselves. To help them to find solution by themselves. We never have the answer finally.
Yeah, it's always good to have that insight and support of somebody that's been through it, especially multiple times. Do you look back and do you have a I don't know, we'd say the word pinnacle, or do you have a moment where, that just, I don't know, you knew that you were going to make it as an entrepreneur? Was there that one moment where it's like, I know you had confidence early on. Sounds like you had some confidence and some moxie and some drive, but was there a moment early on where you're like, I'm really cut out to do this, and kind of set you on your path to developing all of these companies?
It's difficult. I think that this is the first time that I am so confident with Vade. In the past, each time I was hesitating on the market positioning, I was in success, but that's the reason why I have sold the companies, because I was not sure to be the right person or to be on the right market positioning. But finally, each time I understood that I have sold the company too early, because every company I have sold are still living. So this is great to see that, and living and with a good progress. And each time I'm thinking that okay, I could have done this also. But anyway, with Vade, this is really the first time I'm so confident. It's coming from my experience, okay, but not only the success that we had with Vade make us very confident, and the ability to be, very flexible, to adapt ourselves on the market changes and so on. We try to keep startup spirit in mind, even if we are in the scale up mode. That's what I try to do.
Yeah, it is tough, especially when the business is still living. It's tough to look over at it and say, man, maybe I did exit too early, or hopefully they're doing the right things. But yeah, it is tough, because each one of these, I imagine, become a part of your identity, for a long time,
Yeah,
and you wear that identity, and then when you have that.
it's like a baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, I can certainly relate. That's I try not to look backward. Sometimes it's hard not to, especially when they're still out there and doing well. But I think it's also a testament to the fact that you did put the right infrastructure, right structure in place, and it was a business that could survive without you. And so maybe that's the bright side. Maybe that's the best way to look at it. Um,
Yes, and you're right. It's and when you are saying that, I'm thinking that I have always organized the company to be not dependent on me, never.
mhm,
As I said, I know my limits, and where I'm good is to hire the right people to scale a company, and to help. My job is to help them to find the right decision that we take together. I'm not
mhm.
the guy who say, okay, I have decided this morning that we will do this, and everybody, okay, chef, uh, I will, I will execute that. No, it's not like this. We are working, we are working with a team, and so I feel not that the company is not dependent on me. Finally, uh,
And that's
and
a hard thing to do.
this is better. This is
Yeah.
better for the company. This is good also for me. I feel more independent finally on the company, and I really have a very good managers, very reliable managers. This is great to work with them.
I think that is probably one of the most important attributes that I hear time and time again is getting the right team in place, and then creating a structure where you're able to back out, and lean in and leverage what you're good at, right? And again, talking about early days, right? You're sounds like creative, always kind of thinking of what to do next, and how to improve things. That's you have that blend of you know you had so many different interests, but you also have the ability to create structure, and you have to have that if you have an engineering degree. um, but so many entrepreneurs fail to create that kind of structure, and they're still stuck in the business. And you see that clearly with the ones that scale well. They have the right people, they have the right team in place, they have the right infrastructure, and they're able to do the things they should be doing as the executive or CEO or president, what have you. And so it's a hard thing to do. So the fact that you've done it so many times and these businesses are still out there thriving again is I think a testament to the blend of that, ability to create and ability to execute at the same time.
Yes, and but I think that the reason why Vade is scaling now, and so to succeed in the fact that the company is scaling, I think it's really important to don't think, for the CEO I'm speaking, don't think that you can do yourself by yourself. It's a particularity of my personality. When I do something, I don't want to repeat that 2 times. I make something and I make something different after that. So I start something and I delegate that to a person. And this is the way to scale. I see so many CEOs that want to understand everything by themselves. This is not scalable. You can't do that. Even if you know your customer, every single customer, you can't scale worldwide. We are working with Japanese guy, with customer partners in Australia, everywhere in the world. So if I know every single customer, we can scale. And I see that it's very frequent that CEOs want to know everything, to know every customer, and so on. This is not scalable.
I think that's such an important point because, especially with companies that are more channel focused, right? The tendency, and it's a necessity early on as you're entering channel to have those relationships, and know the early customers and get the feedback. But and I remember with ID Agent, the last company that I'd sold, I knew, the first 50 partners, I knew first name. They had my cell phone number. They were very instrumental in the roadmap, and it was very collaborative. But I remember feeling like I got to 100 partners, 400 partners, 1,000 partners, 2,000 partners. And it's like it's just not scalable. And so you have to think, if you're building out especially a channel focused organization, you have to think, how do you put the right processes, right people, and infrastructure in place to be able to scale? Because again, think about ways that a lot of these vendors fail is that they're so in the weeds, and it's hard not to do that early on, right? It's hard not because you need that feedback, you need the engagement, but then at some point you have to have enough self-awareness and have the right people around you to be able to put that infrastructure in place and get out of the way. So yeah,
and in the same time, stay close to the customer. If you don't are close to the customer, you don't understand the market finally. So this is, to my opinion, one of the most difficult thing in the fact of scaling, to be close and to think high level in the same time.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of the things you guys do exceptionally well from a partnership standpoint. Well, my opinion, but we'll get to that in a moment. But you talked about each one of these being kind of a baby, or a child of your own. And what was the birth, or what was the origin of Vade? How did Vade come about?
Oh, the origin is a little bit complicated because we were two founder of NetAsk, which name is Stormshield now, so a company in the firewalling with a specificity of behavioral analysis of the TCP/IP. And my the co-founder started alone with the same ID with the SMTP, and so the email. And unfortunately, he died. He had a cancer, and so I took the company. It was a daughter company, so it was very easy. And so finally, the idea were coming from the fact that the behavioral analysis using machine learning and so on is very good to detect a new attack. But at the very beginning of Vade, it was spam, only spam, and it was for the comfort of use more than cybersecurity finally. And but using the same way of thinking the technology and the way of analyzing the flow. And so when I took Vade, the responsibility of Vade when my friend died, I transformed the company immediately in more cybersecurity oriented because it was more my background. Finally, the other founder, the co-founder, was who died, was founder of email marketing company also, and so he was concerned by the fact that spam, where he is also multi-entrepreneur, sometime together, sometime each independently, but so it was like this. And so his idea was to help the email to be clean, and my idea was to transform that in a really cybersecurity company. So threat detection, malware detection, ransomware, and so on, using behavioral analysis. And from the beginning, very early, we were probably a pioneer in the fact that we were using machine learning to detect threats in the email flow. We started that in 2012 or something, the first patent with machine learning. So we were really innovative in that field. And we can see that we are proud of that because everybody is speaking of AI now. And we were probably one of the pioneers. Nobody knows that, but
well, they do now.
We were not. But it's an advantage that made us made it possible to start with the biggest player in the world. We started with Cisco, for example. We sell some piece of technology to Cisco, and yes, we are very proud of that because with that technology, very innovative technology, Cisco is a competitor in the email security field. And they said, wow, this is better than our engine. And so they have chosen to integrate that technology in their products. We started with Cisco, but we have signed 50 of the main security vendor and the main email telco in the world. We can speak of SoftBank in Japan, Comcast in US. There is a lot, plenty of name. I don't have the right to say the name of everybody, but we were recognized as the best technology detection using behavioral analysis with AI from years.
Wow.
And now we are addressing from large ISPs, large MSPs. We are addressing now the MSP market with the same spirit to be the best of breed in terms of threat detection and provide value added to the MSPs.
I was going to say, you guys are pervasive now. I mean, you see your name everywhere, and always if there's a chart out there about who's who and who's the best, you guys are certainly right there at the top. So you must be doing something right. So what does Vade look like? Because this is, in one hand, right, the challenge or the problem. It's like it's getting worse, right? Just because of just sheer volume and sophistication of attacks and just it's always this cat and mouse game, and that puts a lot of pressure on you obviously to stay ahead of where the threats are, and so where do you see the threats? What does it look like in 12, I don't know if you can prognosticate or forecast, but what does it look like in 12 to 24 months? Is that bad still out there? And then what else are you guys doing, roadmap wise to really, combat all
Yes,
of
it's a
these issues?
day-to-day fight, as
Mm.
you said, and it's really complicated, and our responsibility is very high because with all that major player in terms of cybersecurity and email provider, email and telco, we are securing more than 1/4 of the total human population in the world. It's more than 1.4 billion of mailboxes. So this is a lot. We have something close to 100 billion of information per day that we manage with machine learning, with algorithm to see some correlation between some emails into the flow, but also into the time evolution, the habits, and so on. So we find threats, new threats that doesn't exist into that incredible flow of information. This is a very best asset of at Vade, by the way. And but we can see that the cyber criminals are more and more organized and are using also AI. And so the attacks are more and more polymorphic and also I can say that the what we call the spam, which is not important, is decreasing. But the important attack, the ransomware, the malware injection, but also the attack coming from countries. Today, this is the war between Russia and Ukraine, and but also there is some countries like North Korea and so on. So there is organization, political organization that pay cyber criminal to organize cyber attack. And this is not targeting only small companies or large company or government. It's not targeting only government, but large enterprise and small companies. Why? Because they need money to pay if they are terrorists, for example, but also they are working on supply chain attack. So they target a small company who is selling anything to another company, a little bit bigger, so more secured probably. And so entering by the first, they are entering in the second, and then in the third company, and then to the government. We have seen this kind of attack. This is like a solar wind finally. But in general, they are trying to enter in the lowest secure company in the supply chain. And so it's easy for them after that to enter. And so this is more and more sophisticated. And so we are working hard. One of the biggest investment at Vade, today we are 250 people, but one of the major investment is in innovation. We have the best threat detection, okay, but we invest more in the threat detection. And this is the spirit at Vade. When we are good somewhere, that's where we invest more to stay the best and to become better and better. We don't want to be good, and so we can do something else, and we are good, but less and less good, and do everything with a medium quality. This is not Vade. Each time we do something, we try to be the best. And so yes, for the future, it's a challenge, but it's an exciting challenge. And everybody in the team is feel very concerned by the responsibility that we have and excited also, but all that we have to discover the new way of cyber attack, the new way that they can organize that, and the new imagination that they have. It's really, really, really passionate.
Gosh, there's so
So
many
we are
great.
ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously, as a customer, that's what you want in your vendor, right? You want best in class, but you also want them to be, better and better every day, just because the attack frequency or the spam side of it might be going down, but the complexity of the attacks are getting exponentially more complex because,
Yeah.
One hand it has to, because you're getting better, and it's just this entire cat and mouse game. It's really interesting. I mean, you realize how much, how pervasive you guys are. I mean, a quarter of what's it, more than a billion, accounts or inbox. The data that you're probably able to extract out of that, and the analysis and the trending and the forecasting of threats, it has to be pretty phenomenal. It's got to be a pretty incredible data set.
Yes, we have a very very impressive threat intel that today we are using that mainly for us, for Vade internally, but more and more we are building partnerships to use that, to share that threat intel, because we are also thinking that the way cybersecurity market is evolving is that every cybersecurity vendor should be the best of breed, but share information, because cyber attacks are using different channels, different way. So we are collaborating with some CM company or SOAR company, but other security vendors to share, threat intel. This is key for the future of cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's incredible, because not very many companies have access to that type of data, that volume of data, and so it's phenomenal to use it as a competitive advantage internally. But to your point, being able to open up and do that threat intel sharing, I think it's really interesting next step. So what guidance or advice, especially because you've been now on three sides of the equation, right? Distribution, the vendor side, the MSP side. What advice do you have for the MSPs, the MSSPs out there? I mean, I know it's a big open-ended question, but
yes, the strategy at Vade is to develop the MSP partnership. We consider that our tactical position to work with large telco, large security vendor, it was an opportunistic decision at the beginning. It was because we had the best technology, so we had developed that opportunistically. And the fact it gives a lot of threat intel, one of the best threat intel coming from email in the world, is really an asset, is already called. But this is a niche market, finally, to address ISPs and security vendor. And we are today the leader in that field, the technical leader in that field. So the market is a niche, yes. But today, to scale Vade, this is with the brand of Vade, with the complete product from Vade to the MSP, to the SMB and mid-market.
That's awesome.
And so the strategy is to scale with MSPs. And the value proposition that we provide at Vade is, the first best-in-class detection. This is really important, because if we make a mistake, the consequence can be very high in the company and for the MSP himself. The second is to be the more simple as we can, because MSP don't have the time to invest in knowing product and so on. So it has to be like this. You click and it works. And the third is to provide added value to MSPs. And so to help them, in particular, for example, with the threat intel that we can provide, the API, we are open product, so that then they can integrate our solution in a complete solution for their customers. This is more or less more for MSSPs maybe, but we always try to provide tools to provide value added the more simply as we can, so that this is a way to earn more money for MSSPs, and the simplest as possible, because we know that. I have created a MSP in the past, Scalaire still existing, and I already understand how it works and what they need. They need the best product, as simple as possible, and the more open as possible. This is it.
I would argue that's the second secret sauce, because you're taking something so complex and building it in a way where it solves for that complexity, but it's it's usable enough. I don't know if usable is a word, but it's easy enough for the channel to really get in and use it and scale with it. And it's a tough thing to do. Only a handful of companies have done it exceptionally well. And the fact that you're able to do that,
for us,
yeah.
Finally, for us, this is probably the main complex thing. To do the high technology detection, I don't want to say that it's easy, but it's our know-how. But make it very simple for an MSP who don't have the time to try to make all automated and so on. This is, yes, not so easy for us. But this is the way we are working and providing our product to MSPs.
Awesome. Well, look, I know it's end of day there for you. It's evening time, but
Yes.
I just want to thank you for taking some time, staying after hours to chat with me here. What's the easiest way to find Vade, find you? How can MSPs reach out to you?
The best is to go on our website to see our website. It's vadesecure.com.
Awesome. So, all right, we'll direct them there. And again, George, I can't thank you enough for taking some time and really appreciate your background and your journey. And like I said, what you're doing for the channel is pretty special. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you for the interest you have in Vade.
Absolutely. All right.